This week's episode of Resilience Unscripted is sponsored by PK Law Group.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilience Unscripted, number 14 here. We're on, yeah. Say hi with mathematics. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate you coming out and being on the show.
My pleasure.
So where do you want to begin?
Wherever you see fit.
I want to go over a little bit of your background before I ask you one really important question. So tell us who you are. For people who don't know, a lot of people do know, but
So I'm mathematics, and I'm in recovery from a lot of different things. Recovery from like low self-esteem, addiction, the hustle and the street mentality, trauma, depression, all these different things. Deadbeat dadism, not taking care of my kids, always prioritizing women, prioritizing the streets, prioritizing whatever's going on in the prison system and who's a rat and who told on this and where you from and all that stuff. But now I've kind of slowly but surely transformed my life and I know that there's two negatives and a positive. And Tim, am I supposed to be looking at a particular?
all three.
All three?
Three.
All right, cool. Yes, I didn't know if I'm supposed to be looking, but
That's okay.
yeah, just taking those two negatives and turning it into a positive. And a lot of this was just seeking validation and approval. And I was doing it in a negative way, but now I figured out a way that I can get that same validation, approval, and cred I was looking for in the streets. I can do that in a positive way. And then now I don't have to look over my back. I don't have to get taken out of my children's and my family's lives for 5 years, 6 years, 4 years, 2 years, whatever it is, or be calling them from treatment centers just because I figured out a way to prioritize my recovery. Always put that first.
What was that way?
Which way?
What was the way you prioritized your recovery?
I mean, pain is the father of change.
Right.
So I've taken my pain now and turned it into my purpose. And some people experience rock bottom, and I've experienced multiple rock bottoms. I thought that, but then some people hit rock bottom. And so this last time I've hit rock bottom, I did my 32 years of addiction in the streets and going to jail. And, I did like 15 years in state prison, 32 years of addiction, 131 treatment centers, 8 holdings, 4 halfway houses, 7 overdoses, 3 years on Mass Ave, the abscesses, the scars, the day surgeries from like all the all the crazy stuff. Been shot before by accident, but still took it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all these different things have been. But this last time it was more or less, rock bottom has levels. There's mental, there's emotional, there's physical, and then there's spiritual. And so I think this time here, I've had like financial rock bottoms before, but this time I hit it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Right. And it was just time to do something different.
So your pain and purpose is now into music, correct?
A little bit of music, a little bit of, I just wrote that book I just gave you called That Part, and it's how I take poetry and rap and use that to express a lot of the things that men normally wouldn't want to talk about. Or
it's harder for men sometimes to get their feelings out without feeling some type of way.
Yeah, because, you wondering, we're not supposed to talk about the sensitive stuff, but I know through being somewhat of a scientist that I have inside me the X chromosome and the Y chromosome, the X being female, the Y being male. So when I'm ignoring my feminine side, that's why I'm not getting the balance.
Right.
And then when I honor both sides, the sensitive side and the masculine side, that's when I get a little bit more balance in life.
When writing the book, did you feel like you were able to let a lot of the past trauma go? If that makes sense of what I'm trying to say, like you were able to get it out there in a way that it was like freeing.
Yeah. I know that every time an addict hears a story or hears their story, they get relief. And every time we tell our story, we get relief. So getting it out and getting it on paper was actually some type of relief for me formed some comfort, and it just kind of like let me know that this story is going to actually be beneficial for someone else, like a learning experience that someone else can learn from. I mean, there's active learners and there's passive learners. I'm an active learner, but there are some
Same.
passive learners out there that can sit there and read something and say, if that's what's going to happen, I'm not going to do it. I'm not one of those people. I'll read something, or you can tell me something and I'll say
We'll
that
do it
happened to
anyway.
you, but I'm going to do it anyway because you just did too much, or you're not built like that, or she did that to you, but she'd never do that to me.
Right.
And that's why normally I have to get my behind kicked over and over and over again before I'm finally willing to like do something different.
We have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
That's how I've always been. Like I have to learn the hard way, and I'm a very hands-on person, so I have to learn actively going through something. Like you said, you can't learn. Literature to me is great, but it's not the end-all be-all for learning something. I have to physically go through it to know that, okay, this is what I learned from this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad because it shouldn't have to be that way, but that's how some of us are.
Yeah. I mean, your experience and mistakes can be like your best teachers. So,
Yeah.
you know, some people, it's not really, I always call it wins and learns, not wins and losses. So if you go through something and you kind of like ended up having a bad experience, you didn't actually lose, you just actually learned.
All right. So do you currently work in treatment?
Yeah.
How do you like that?
That's good.
The
It's
jewels of
good.
the day?
Yeah. Well, the jewels of the day don't have anything to do with it.
No, but
That's
I
my
feel
job.
like, but I feel like you take the jewels of the day to work, and I'm sure you tell everybody, and you shed
Yeah.
some positivity, and I'm sure it helps with the clients that you encounter.
Yeah. So the my motto is, if a jewel a day keeps the mental ignorance away.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
my
like
man
that.
Tim, he edits all the jewels. So we've been bonding through the making the jewels, and I do work in treatment. I probably text anywhere from like it's anywhere between like 400 and 450 people every morning.
Wow.
And the jewel of the day goes out, and people, it gets spread, you know, wherever it's gonna go. And the jewel of the day also hits me too, because I have my own little third step prayer that is kind of inside of it. One of the phrases is, don't just let me inspire others, but also practice what I teach.
I like that.
Because you can become an imposter syndrome, and imposter syndrome weighs you down when you're, you know, giving all this lessons and giving all this information, but you're not actually practicing it yourself. You know what I'm saying?
I like what you said there. Practice what you teach,
Teach, yes.
not preach.
Yeah.
Because I like that, because everyone always says, oh, practice what you preach. Teach, because you're teaching somebody, you know,
Yeah.
like you need to understand that a lot of people can't comprehend what someone's trying to explain to them. And that happens a lot within this house when we do groups and we do meetings and things like that. And I always say, you know, like, you guys got to practice what you preach, but that's going to be my new one.
Well,
Practice what you
I say,
teach.
preach is what they do in church.
Right.
So I'm a poor righteous teacher, which means I go to those that are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually poor, and I teach them to try to make them rich. So I don't say practice what you preach, because I'm not a preacher.
You're not preaching.
I'm not a preacher.
You're
I'm
teaching.
a teacher. Yes.
I like that a lot.
So a preacher goes into church. A
Yep.
teacher, I can go to Mass Ave. I can go into a recovery center. I can come to a sober house. I take the message with me wherever I go. Where a preacher only goes to certain places to preach, but I go anywhere to teach.
It's shedding light on things in a different way.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do.
But it's really just kind of like really trying to just stay aligned with making sure that we call it knowledge and wisdom, which creates the understanding. So what I know you should be able to see that within my actions.
Mhm.
And then that's what creates the best understanding. Because a lot of people, it's good to know a little, but do a lot, than to
Mhm.
know a lot and do a little. If you know what I'm saying.
Full of like all of this fire today.
Yeah.
Like, you're good.
I mean, it's math.
So where do you come up with these jewels of the day? How do you know? Like, do you prepare so many days in advance of which ones are going to go out? Like, tell me the background of how you come up with what you're
This is
going
a
to
good
say.
question.
Has anyone ever asked you this before?
Nah,
Okay.
nah.
So I'm doing something right, Tim.
Yeah. So kind of a lot of them I come up with based off of what I feel.
Mhm.
But my mottos is also 10 pages out of a book a day keeps
Okay.
the mental ignorance away.
Okay.
So if you read 10 pages out of a book a day, that's
Any book.
not any book. You want to have it. It can be 5 pages should be at least something self-help, self-improvement,
Okay.
recovery-based, spiritual-based. transformation based. But if you want to say 5 books out of like your favorite book, but 10 pages of Steven Spielberg isn't gonna. It'll help your vernacular, your words, your vocabulary.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna really transform your thinking. But yeah. So if you read 10 pages a day, that's 3,650 pages a year.
Right.
It's a lot of information. In recovery, abstinence is just not drinking and drugging,
Right.
but recovery is a thinking and a personality change. So if I learn how to think different, then I learn how to act different, and that's going to come through the information. So I'll be reading a book, and I'll get the idea, and then I go into my email, I'll type it out, screenshot it, crop it, and then it's in my gallery. So as I'm walking around and driving around, and I see a location, I'll just pull over, do the jewel of the day, put it in a weave, put like 2 or 3 of them in a weave transfer, send it to Tim.
I love that.
And then Tim shoots it back, and then boom.
This guy right here is amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone is so grateful and thankful for you. That just like, it's a big shout out to Tim, because I don't know if this community would function without Tim. What would we do without you?
Yeah, he gets it done in his creativity. But it's, doing the jewel of the day is good because it helps. Like, I don't care your age bracket, whether you're white, black, Spanish, Latino, 50 years old, 70 years old, they can benefit. I had a woman come up to me yesterday that said that she was in a mental institution, and then someone came over to her and said, hey, watch this guy. And he showed her my YouTube channel. And then yesterday I went to this little celebration that they were having, and I walked in, and she was like, you're like a movie star to me. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, from the jewel of the day.
Oh,
yeah. So that was really nice. And that's how it is. If you can
and
just
it's
help.
Inspiring.
Yeah. If you can help one person, it's, then you've actually done your job.
All right. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So that was one good question that I asked.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have another.
Okay.
What have you not been asked on a podcast that you wish somebody would ask you so that you can discuss it?
So one topic that I've never talked about, and I've been on multiple podcasts, but the person wouldn't know to ask it to me, is I had a child for 5 years that was told that it was my child, and it wasn't.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Was given my first name, my middle name, my last name.
And this was not your child.
And so I went to jail for 5 years, and one time the child came up to visit me, and I was like, and most of my kids have eczema, so that's kind of a telltale sign. And most of my kids, I'm on the chunky side. I've always had some weight issues. So I noticed, and then I said something, and me and the person, we got honest. And so we were young, and she was cheating, and I was cheating, and so
it just came out. It wasn't like you had to go through paternity testing or anything.
Well, I was incarcerated, and I was at SECC minimum, and I was about to come home. This was in I want to say this was in this is when I did my 6 years. So this must have been around like 99, maybe 2000, around that time.
Wow.
And so I came home. We took the maternity test, and I called. And when I was like, what's the results? And she said to me, hold on. And when she said to me, hold on, I knew that it wasn't mine.
You know.
I knew. But I ain't going to act like I wasn't happy. I was passing out cigars. I was like, but that was just my defense mechanism, because I didn't know how to deal with my feelings and emotions. So my whole thing, being an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, was I don't have to pay child support.
Right.
I don't have to get paid for sneakers.
It was a little bit of a relief.
It was a little bit of relief. And I figured in my mind, even though she's good people's and an amazing mother, in my mind, I was looking at her like she was going to be a gold digger. It was just going to be child support.
You already had it set up in your mind how it was going to play out.
Yes. So I didn't have the awareness that I have now to wonder, like, what's her feelings like? What's his feelings like? How's her mother going to feel? But it created some trauma within my family now too, because my mother formed this bond
with him
for 5 years. My grandmother formed this bond. That's hard. So it made it difficult on like my family, because while the whole time I was incarcerated, they were bringing by Christmas gifts. Aww. They were going by for Easter. They were forming this bond. He had my last name. And then all that.
So his last name has changed since.
Yeah. He has his father's name now, which is that's
Is he a part of your life still in any way?
nah. But I feel like one day we should sit down and have a conversation. You know what I mean? Because I know that he knows, and I don't know how that affects. And I know that like narcissism is born through trauma that you go through when you're
Right.
younger, and there's like. My mother and my this gentleman she said was my father. They broke up when I was 11. Y'all are too young, but that was when the movie Kramer versus Kramer came out, and that's that when it was dealing with divorce.
Mhm.
And so ever since then, the only person I've ever really trusted with my emotions is my mother. So I'll get close to you,
There's no love like
and
a mother's love.
it'll appear like we're in love, and it'll appear like we going somewhere. But as you thinking we going somewhere, I'm backing up.
The defense is
yeah.
always up, but I feel like that's natural for people though, because everyone gets hurt. Like people. I just had this discussion last night with somebody, and I think we're all on the defense because there's no loyalty anymore.
Yeah.
The loyalty probably died with my parents' generation. When Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, MySpace, all that shit came out, it made it so much easier for people to cheat, lie, have two lives, carry out whole other relationships, even if it's just social media wise. It made it so much easier to do all that because there wasn't no sneaking around, not only in person, it can be sneaking around just on the phone and have this whole separate life that how can we trust? How can we let our guards down to not only, feel safe with our family or our friends, but with outsiders? Like, it's hard.
I was reading a book this morning that said that a lot of people are calling themselves loyal, but their loyalty is really disguised as codependency.
Oh yeah.
So they're using loyalty to mask their codependency, and the codependency is being used to control. So they're not staying loyal in situations because of good intentions. They're staying loyal in situations so that they can be able to control the person. You know what I mean? And it's really like I'm also reading the book Attached. That if there's anybody like myself, your one thing you'll never hear a Jewel of the Day about for me is about relationships. That's my worst.
Probably my worst.
That's my worst topic. But
I give great advice. However, I don't always carry out my own advice.
But the book Attached is really good, and it talks about an avoidant and how when the relationship is about to connect, we use deactivating strategies. So we'll start to look for ways to backpedal. So there's like the secure, there's the anxious. Yep, there it is right there. There's the anxious.
Oh, she's got it?
Yeah.
Bring that over here.
So that's a really good book for anybody that's like in relationships. And it's good to know your attachment style so that if you're in a relationship and someone's seeing that behavior, you and your partner can discuss it versus feeling like some type of way because of it. Yeah. And it takes 4 years to change your attachment style, they say. So it takes a lot of work to actually
4 years?
Yeah, to change that. But yeah, that was a good question as far as like I've never talked about that before on the podcast and kind of like how I felt, and I was always worried about like, does that make me look less of a man because my girl was cheating on me?
No.
Then the emotions of it as far as like, I think that's something that I haven't really addressed yet. Maybe that's, it added on to some of my drug using and the way that I felt and stuff.
Do you think that was something you were trying to like bury and void out?
Yeah, act like it didn't exist.
Didn't happen.
But it's been like I've now had 3 more children since that situation, and everybody now has to like take a blood test with me. And then like even with my moms and stuff, where like we don't fully commit and get in when the relationship to the blood test is done, and it's not a good. Even my
it's trust. I'll speak for myself. I have trust issues, and I feel exactly the same way you do because look at the world.
Yeah.
We don't know people's pure intentions.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how people operate behind closed doors. How can we trust?
Yeah. Well, I know for me, the reason why it's hard to trust other people if you really don't trust yourself. So you can't give somebody something that you don't have. And so I always tell people that there's 5 letters in trust, and the 5th letter in the alphabet is E, because my ego doesn't allow me to trust. You know what I'm saying? So
is that another jewel today?
It's just a jewel in general.
I like that.
You know what I mean? But if you're not trusting somebody, Because when I deal with people, I should give them a clean, like innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But I go into situations like you're guilty and you have to prove you're innocent. So if that happens in court,
How I am.
yeah, if that happens in court, I'm like, yo, the system, yo, I'm a black man, look how they treat. But then when I deal with people, sometimes that's what I do. I don't give them.
It's by fault. That's just how we are.
Exactly. So that's why recovery is a lifelong journey. It's never, there is no destination because there's always going to be something to work on.
How do you think you would go about addressing this young man if you were able to have the opportunity to sit with him?
First, ask him how he feels, and then validate how he feels and kind of let him. I don't know what he wants to know. I don't know if he wants to know what happened. I don't know if he cares about how I felt. I don't know if he has any questions for me. But my first question would probably just be like, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then kind of like take it from there. And then take accountability. I've learned I'm a 12-step gangster and doing the 12 steps. I probably owe him some type of amends. Even though at that time I didn't have the awareness that I have now. But I probably I do owe him an amends as far as like, I didn't handle that in a responsible way. I just think that like, I don't even know if I've actually spent time with him after that happened. When I found out, he was probably about 5 or 6.
So he would be what now? 20?
This was
30?
Yeah, he's getting
about
up.
30, right?
My oldest daughter's 35, and so he's got to be he's got to be in his late 20s because my oldest daughter's 35.
Okay.
And so they were about, my daughter was born in 90 and he would have been born in like 94. Yeah, so he's got to be like 31.
31.
Yeah, because my daughter will be October 26th of this month. My daughter will be 35.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I got 2 grandkids, 14 and 12.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they look up to you too.
Now,
They see you doing big things out there and trying to keep it together for the community.
Yeah.
I think that's admirable. I always looked up to my grandfather.
Yes. But there's sometimes now with my older children, I have like older children guilt where they see me and how I deal with Sky and my younger daughter. And I know they're like, how come my father wasn't there with me like that? How come he wasn't able to prioritize doing the right thing when I was younger? Because most of my children have dealt with overdoses or coming to visit me in prison or coming to detoxes or treatment centers or me being in halfway houses where I could come by and see him, but I had to leave to make curfew. So, and I just wasn't like I didn't know how to prioritize my.
You're in a different headspace now.
Yeah. So they say, if you read the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he says most men don't mature until between the ages of 40 and 60. And I started maturing at 45.
You got that book? No? Damn. I was getting all excited.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to go through stuff like we were talking about, experience being your best teacher. And as life goes on, you learn what you can do and what you can't do and what works and what doesn't work.
What do you think has worked the most for you?
Win in the morning. My motto is, if you win the morning, you win the day. And just realizing that I have a chronic illness that needs to be addressed in the morning. And so if I get up in the morning before I touch my phone, before I get on social media, before I get on an email, before I went from a deadbeat dad to a full-time father. Before I wake my daughter up, if I get myself grounded and do what I have to do, like there's 7 letters in morning and the 7th letter in the alphabet is G. So if I tap into the God in me, right? If I seek guidance through prayer and meditation, if I hit the gym, do some physical exercise, and if I do my G gratitude list, right? All these different things. What I do is then when I go deal with other people, everything's a little bit more manageable because I've taken the medicine that I need for my mind, for my emotions, and for my spiritual state. So that's really just been, even like I call it ROI, return on investment. You do business, so you probably know. Yeah. So the first 7 letters in investment spell invest me. So when if I put an hour into my recovery a day, I get 23 hours back. You know what I mean? Hour and a half into my recovery a day, I get 22 and a half hours back. So for me, it's really just like putting in the effort to win the morning and then win the day.
Prioritizing mental health is huge.
Yeah.
You have to. If you can't clean up what's around you and in terms of your mental health, going out into society and having a negative mindset and trying to cohabitate and communicate with outsiders, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like I like what you said about investing in yourself, because a lot of people, including myself, don't. We just get up and go. And if we can maybe take a small portion of our day to sit down and write a gratitude list or think of something that we're grateful for, go to the gym and get our G's in.
Yeah.
I think we'll all be in a better place.
Yeah. And like even a lot of people prioritize mental health, but emotional health is just as important because the mind that governs my choices, but then my emotions govern how I feel. And recovery, and I mean, alcohol and addictions are a feeling and emotions disease. So if I don't treat my feelings and emotions, then the mental obsession to use comes back, and then I'm back on Mass Ave or back at Shirley Max Walpole, wherever I'm gonna be. But now that I figure out, that's why when I share at meetings, I say I'm mathematics, a grateful man in recovery, and my problem is me, because my mind and my ego is a problem, but not treating my mental and emotional health is also the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think our minds run away with us?
What do you mean?
Like, she's shaking her head. Yes. I love this. I said to the girls, would you like to sit in here to hear the podcast live?
I've never did a podcast like with someone looking at us.
I think it's eye-opening for them because they're agreeing with everything you say. And I think they needed that. They've had a tough weekend. And I think you being here kind of opened their eyes and ears to things and maybe kind of settled down, and the dust has settled since things have gone on. And it kind of in tune with perspective of things they needed to hear. Because I heard two ladies resonating with you. The and then the shaking the head that I could see out of the corner of my eye. I know they're resonating with you. I think they needed it.
Well, the first, in the phrase sober house, the first 5 letters is sober. And so from my experience in sober living is there's a lot of people saying sober, but they're not recovering.
Correct.
And so there's a big difference between being in recovery and then just being.
Let's talk about that.
Being physically abstinent. Well, if you're just clean and sober, there's 5 letters in clean, 5 letters in sober, then the ego's still in charge. And being physically sober and physically clean is a lot easier than being in recovery.
What's the most prioritizing factor of being in recovery versus just staying sober?
Well, being in recovery means that you're treating your spiritual malady. So I have a spiritual malady that causes me to be restless, which means something's missing. Right. Irritable, which means easily annoyed because I got control issues and I want everything to go my way.
Same.
And then discontent means that nothing's ever good enough. So that's why when people say, Math, what are you addicted to? I say I'm addicted to more. More of what? Anything that makes me feel good.
Exactly. So
when you're in recovery is a thinking and a personality change, and it's a constant action. You know, abstinence is like it is an action because I'm staying away from the substance, but it's really not that much work. It's just staying away from the substance, where being in recovery is a whole process. It normally comes from like having a sponsor, a mentor, whatever program you're practicing, a recovery coach, therapist, a home group, or some type of program, and some type of action. Your routines and your rituals as well also have to all be in place.
What do you think about people who live in sober homes but don't work a program?
It's just you're just shacking up. You know what I mean?
How do you think we can change that?
You got to I like sober houses that are incentivized. You get a sponsor, you get your cell phone. You start doing a 4-step, you start getting past it. Get to this step.
See, I'm a little too lenient.
You can go back to work but it makes it harder for people to want to come to the house because it's prioritized, but there's a lot more recovery in the house as far as like when the mentality with the people there. So because of housing with no recovery just ends up turning into a dope house or a coke house.
Right.
You know, so a lot of people say, just give them housing, but you have to have the recovery piece.
There has to be a program in place.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when the girls come through here, they'll go to an IOP, PHP, or they'll have additional meetings that they attend with their sponsor, and then they go to their own meetings, and they just kind of do their own thing if they're not able to just jump back into work, right? And we have some girls that come in that are like, I want to work a program. I don't want to go to meetings. And I'm like, well, this is not a rooming house. This is a sober home. Like, let me help you find a PHP that might resonate with you, that might be something that could benefit you. Nope, I don't want it. How would you handle that situation?
I mean,
Because it's not beneficial. It's just you're taking up a bed for somebody who could and does want it. And it's to live in a home. And like I said before, everyone deserves a place to live, but you gotta want it. If you don't want it and you're biding your time, you're only hurting yourself.
Well,
but I want your take on it.
It's a program of attraction, not promotion. So if you have the other girls in the house, if there's like 12 girls in the house and 9 of them are doing the right thing and 3 aren't, the 3 that are going to start to feel funny but if you have a sober house or a house like that where 3 people are doing the right thing but 9 people aren't, I call them cancers. They're going to spread that cancer, their parasites all through the house.
It is like cancer.
Yeah.
It spreads.
So, I mean, it's just the how of the program, to be honest, be open-minded, and be willing to try something new. And then if someone's not willing to buy into the program, you have to sit there and say, is it beneficial for me to transfer them to another house so that they don't spread that negativity here? But you also have to sit there and have people, give them examples like, what does your life look like? You're not employable. Do you have your kids? You lost your house? Do you have a job? You're 29, 30, 40 years old. You got a bus pass. How bad is it going to have to get before you're going to be willing to do something different? So everybody's going to want to do this program when they're ready. Right. I don't know why for 32 years I couldn't work the program the way it was laid out. And then all of a sudden now something clicked. But everybody's going to have to hit their point where they're going to be willing to actually do it. And another thing I always like to make sure people know is that PHP and IOP are short-term solutions to a lifelong problem. So you also want to make sure that they're getting that lifelong solution through peer-led groups.
They need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens if the person's not teachable? Like you can't break through to them to talk to? So I'm sure you've run into that a lot. How do you get it out? How do you get your concerns out without sounding like a big bad wolf? Like, how do you get it to get on to their level and let them understand that you're trying to help them, not hurt them?
So my motto is I'd rather step on your feelings and step on your grave. And I'd rather step on your feelings and pray at your grave.
Go.
So you have to kind of look at whatever they're going through and use that as motivation. It starts off with motivation, but then that motivation has to turn into discipline. So if someone's on Mass Ave, then I might approach the homelessness. If someone doesn't have a relationship with their children, then I might use that to motivate them. If someone's just overdosed, then I might say that, hey, there's 13 addicts dying an hour, 304 a day. 10 are dying from complications, and an alcoholic kills someone in the United States every 52 minutes. Like, I'll use all
That's
that
a rough
stuff.
Statistic.
Yeah. So there's multiple ways you're going to have to know the person that you're dealing with and figure out how you can actually motivate them. And sometimes not everybody's going to be ready right away. That, I know when you plant a seed, like a rose, it takes 6 months to a year to blossom. So it's a lot of times that road's going to be inside the dirt and you're not going to see anything happening, and then it just blossoms. So some people some people might come through your sober house to get the seed, might not blossom for 5 years.
They might not plant it yet.
Some people might come, they might get it right away. Some people might come, leave, and then they come back a second time, and then it hits. The statistics with recovery aren't that good because our egos always tell us that we can work buffet style recovery.
Buffet style recovery?
I'll do meetings, but I'm not going to get a sponsor. I'll do the sober house, but I'm not going to do the chores. Yeah, I'm gonna pick and shoes. I'll do the PHP, but I'm not going to do meetings.
If you don't work the whole program, it's not going to be beneficial.
It's like me. I can't do buffet style to get high. It's like me having dope, but I don't have the lighter and the needle and the cotton. I just got the dope.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like me having a crack pipe and I got the crack and the rose, but I don't got the choy and the lighter. Right. I have to have all the steps and all the pieces in order to get the negative high. Well, I have to follow all the steps in order to get the spiritual high as well.
Right. You're a man of a lot of wisdom.
I'm old. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't say you.
I appreciate you. But you want to make sure that, in your house, I don't know how many people you have, but you always want to have.
We're almost full.
That person that's really the prime example.
And we do. We have a really, really good group of women, but sometimes things fall short, right? And accountability is huge. And if you don't have accountability and you can't address things that you're not accountable for, and you're lacking something that everyone else is doing, it's like cancer, like you said, it spreads. And then it's like, well, why did they get to do what they're doing, but we don't get to do it? And then it's like a negative domino effect. I've used this expression probably 3 episodes in a row. I can't watch the girls do a domino effect because one person wants to do the total polar opposite of everyone else and take down the house. And it's hard. They say don't take your job home with you. And I do. I mean, I only live 10 minutes away. So I take my job physically, literally, and mentally home with me every day. And it's like, I can't watch it. I just can't. Like, if this isn't the right fit for you, let me help you find something that's a better fit for you. Or if this isn't an option, let's just find you a rooming house. Like, I can't watch these women work so hard and see different individuals come in here who don't abide by the rules, who don't abide by the protocol, who do whatever they want, are derogatory, rude, nasty, condescending to the other women. Instead of building each other up, they tear each other down because it's so bad. You know, and it's cohabitation. You're living with other people who aren't your family, who you've never met a day in your life before. Not everyone's going to mesh. So it's like, I always say to them, you don't have to be best friends, but for the sake of the house, get along. And for the sake of your recovery, be platonic, because one bad decision can take down a whole house. And I don't want to see that happen.
Yeah. Blame spreads the problem, and accountability solves the problem.
What happens when someone lacks accountability?
You know, I call it RBA, ritual, routine, and recovery-based accountability. And so you have to sit there and kind of have like a routine, and then a routine turns into a ritual, and then that ritual turns into like repetition. And then through repetition, you start to improve. It takes 21 days to form a habit,
Correct.
90 days to form a lifestyle. But that's really why we're alcoholics and addicts, because we lack maturity. We need emotional maturity. And the first 7 letters in the word accountability spell account. So I have to put stuff into my account, like my mental account, my emotional account, my recovery account, my fatherhood account, my motherhood account. It's kind of like that book, Chop Wood and Carry Water. There's going to be different storms that come. And then if I have a lot of wood chopped and a lot of water, I'll be able to get through the mental and the emotional storms. So there has to be some type of accountability where accountability gives birth to responsibility. And then inside the word responsibility, you see respondability.
How long did it take you to
I be
map
doing
all
this.
this out with these words and the numbers and the letters?
Because I do it every day. I'm a group specialist.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do it every day. But what you're finding is that a lot of the women in the house, some of them are reacting, and then some of your more mature women that might be working the program are responding.
They are responding, and they're responding appropriately, and I'm really proud of them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book a little bit. Enough of everyone else's books. Let's talk about your book.
Okay.
What was the point in life that you decided you wanted to write a book? Was it just like you felt comfortable enough now to share everything in written form? Is that kind of what led it to happen?
It was kind of like I wanted to do something, and I love to write. I feel as though that's one of my passions, and it's one of my therapeutic modalities. But I didn't feel as though that I wanted to tell my whole story yet. So I just created a short, I think it's like 44-page book.
So it's not all about specifically your life. It's not like a biography.
Not yet.
Okay.
Because I felt as though that I wanted to get myself out there, get a little bit more momentum right before I drop my whole book, and then you don't have the momentum for anybody to buy it. So I did this so I could learn from my mistakes, see the effort, learn.
What's the title of the book?
That part, Poetry and Rap Therapy.
If one of the ladies can hand me the book, please, I'd like to show our viewers and let them know where they can order.
Yeah. So it's called Poetry and Rap Therapy, and then this on the front is supposed to be me like in the negative, and then the more studious look on the back is on the
That's
positive.
awesome.
And then it goes from pain to progress. So the
I like
front
that.
is supposed to be the pain.
The back
then
is
on
the
the
progress.
back is supposed to be the progress.
That's
and
awesome.
it's just like how you use poetry and rap as a therapeutic modality. How you can use poetry and rap to form community, to form connection. You come together, you get in the studio, then you go do the video shoot, then you go perform together, and then also using like poetry and rap without swearing. We don't swear, we don't use the N-word. You can't even vape or smoke a cigarette in any of my videos.
That's awesome.
So it's
like
really
that.
just like forming community through music, and it's a six parts of the book. And then
Okay.
I can also make it a 6-week course where if someone wanted me to come
That's
teach it,
nice.
I could pick a different. And there's writing prompts too,
Good.
keep you grounded, focused.
So it's an educational tool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yep. I like to call it the 3 E's. It's education, entertainment, and then enlightenment.
I like that a
Yeah.
lot. Where can we find the book? How do we buy the book?
Amazon.
All on Amazon.
Or you might see me. I'm doing a pop up with Exit November 8th at Spark FM.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a pop up.
You're gonna have plenty of books on hand.
Plenty of books on deck. A little bit of
Awesome.
merch. You know what I
Awesome.
mean?
Where can we get the merch?
Right now, I'm not really. I have a website, motivatedbymathematics.com. So that's up there for merch. And then I also have some stuff for my car. But it's hard for me. I just don't have the time to run, like go from house to house.
Full flat. Yeah.
So, not saying that the $20 isn't key, but it's easier if people want to show up and go to the website and then it comes right to your front door. There's different
right to your door. You don't even have to go out.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like Amazon.
Yeah. And then but if you catch me at an event, I normally have some books and some t-shirts and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you ask a question? Sure. Go ahead.
So I've been wondering this kind of the whole time you've been speaking. What does it look like to be a Black man in recovery? And also, how does the intersectionality between like slavery and the prison industrial complex kind of compromise your recovery?
That's a good question.
So give me the second question, like put it in layman's terms.
How does so in this just I guess easy enough to ask is what does it look like to be a Black man in this country trying to recover?
So yeah, so I think that Black people tell themselves that we deserve punishment. We don't really feel as though that we deserve therapy or we deserve recovery. And I don't want to say we deserve, I should say we feel like that's not for us because a lot of us haven't been exposed to that growing up. Therapy and group therapy and one-on-one counseling and having a sponsor, the trust issues that we talked about. Yeah. So being in recovery, me being more Alcoholics Anonymous, when I go into a space, there's a ton of times where I can walk into a meeting and be the only Black person. But my man Pugs, who was my sponsor, he's still like my sponsor for 6 years. I was at an AA meeting and I was about to move in with a girl. I come from the prison culture. When I first went upstate, Blacks couldn't talk to whites for that long. You know, they had the Black phone, the white phone, things of that nature. So I was about to move in with this girl and Pug said, don't move in. He said, my mother has a room in the basement and why don't you move in with my mother? And then if you feel as though you might be able to get your own space. And so, you know, we got to Pug's house, we got to his mother's house so I could meet his mother. I was real nervous. And he was like, why are you so nervous? And I was like, Pugs, does your mother know I'm Black? And he said that we don't see color. And
that's how my family is.
Yeah, he said that we don't see color. His mother came in and I ended up living with his mother for a whole year. And then Pugs' boy, Bobby Vance, offered me an apartment as well. And then that's how I ended up getting my first apartment through Bobby. And so it's not easy as far as like just in general for anybody to recover, but it's also like if you don't have the proper information on the resources and stuff like that, and if you're not open-minded, because a lot of times being Black and coming from the struggle, you can look at a resource as an enemy or you can look at a resource as like a weakness, meaning that like I shouldn't have to use those resources. Those aren't for people. I got it going on or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of uncomfortability that comes with like trusting people coming from the prison system. Can I trust this person? Can I be honest with this person? Can I really do a fifth step and tell this person my business? Is this person that's saying that they want to come pick me up, take me to meetings? Are they really doing it because they're just doing 12-step work, or are they doing it because they have a hidden agenda?
Right.
But I know now my narrative on the way I think about color in this country is different because of one woman, Mama Pugs, one man, Pug, Bobby Vance, and a whole bunch of other people that have, stepped up in my recovery process and shown me that like in recovery, a lot of times we don't see color. And I like going into a meeting and being the only black dude, and I walk in and I take my jacket off and I got all the tattoos, then they hear me speak and they're like, oh shit, this is the black Bill Wilson. You know what I'm saying? So I thrive on it now. Like I just went and spoke at a meeting out like Hopedale or Upton, and I walk in and there's like 80 people in the room. I'm the only black person in the meeting. But by the time I finish speaking, it's normally a good connection. But that was definitely
That was a deep
that was a deep question.
It leads me to my second question, and it'll be kind of quick. But we know that the prison system in the U.S. is so linked to our history with slavery.
It's modern day slavery.
And yeah, and yes, exactly. And now we have the prison industrial complex, so we're just shoveling people in, especially people from underserved communities,
Yes.
under-resourced communities. And how does that make you feel about, you know, where you come from and how you can help people differently? And do you feel like it was, I mean, how did going to jail feel for you? Did it feel like an attack, or was it helpful, or did it feel like it stemmed from?
Prison saved my life. I'm grateful for the guy that snitched on me. I'm grateful for the D-boys that lied on me. I'm grateful for the judge that sentenced me. I'm grateful for the classification board that kept me behind the wall a little bit longer. So prison saved me for me because I couldn't do it on my own. So the universe did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And my job now, through a lot of the work that I do, and like she was talking about the jewel of the day, that jewel of the day, because all this is being misinformed by the misinformed. So it's my job now. The reason why I'm an OG is because I'm always offering guidance and I'm always offering game, and it's free. So the more I sit there and inform people, we won't fall victim to being misinformed and then end up upstate or end up, you know, getting addicted or on Mass Ave or these different things. But the prison system is a form of modern day slavery. Comes through the rap industry. If they can get into your minds while you're young, all the stuff we're seeing on TikTok with the different behaviors and people not thinking they're attractive unless they use filters, that's all feeding low self-esteem. So the prison system and the medical industry are the two biggest industries in the United States. And we have an opioid epidemic and we have a prison epidemic. And so that's why it's good that there's a lot of guys coming home now from prison. Shout out to my man Stonecatcher coming home from prison. They're doing the Tufts University. They have the college program. You got two from Yard Time came home from prison. He's the only one that has his own mental health group in Massachusetts after doing 22 years. My man Stand on Business, Never Not Working, Stephen Pina, he did 28 years. He's coming home. So there's a lot of people coming home that are actually like myself and doing something different. Garrett Thames, a whole bunch of us, Lit Lovely. All of us did state time, and then we're all coming home to do something different. And so, but I had to sit. You know, I told my mother when I went back to prison that I needed to go back into your womb. And I knew I couldn't go physically, but I could go mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And then now what you see is what came back out is mathematics. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, no problem. No problem. And those are some dope questions.
Those are very good questions.
Yeah, it was real dope.
So that wraps up episode 14 with mathematics. I'm going to have Tim put all of your links, including where to find you on social media, at the end of the video and at the end of the podcast. Can you do that for me too? Good?
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you for coming on this
No
week.
problem. It's my pleasure to be here.
Bye.
Thank you. Peace.